GT Countdown. Top 10 most difficult games.
There's little point in committing yourself to a game unless it's going to be a challenge. Real heroes are created through adversity, and you're never going to get better unless you play against someone better than you. That said, there are some games out there that just don't know when to say when. They unapologetically demand the near impossible, and yet we always come back pleading for more punishment. To make this list, a game cannot be broken, its difficulty must be by design.
Number 10. Contra, NES.
3 lives? What kind of a sick and demented joke is that? Luckily, Konami slipped in its legendary cheat code to boost that number to 30. Otherwise, Contra's relentless horde of gun-toting baddies would no doubt be a one-way ticket to hell, where desperately searching for a spread gun is crucial for survival. Even with the code, you still need to watch your back. Contra will forever have a soft spot in our hearts, when it isn't relentlessly kicking our butts.
Number 9. The Legend of Zelda 2. The Adventure of Link, NES.
Swapping tile-based dungeons for side-scrolling labyrinths, The Adventure of Link had a much greater focus on action and platforming. Tricky jumps over bottomless pits could easily lead to an untimely death, and boss battles relied much more on quick dodges and pinpoint sword strikes. While the game was tough in general, the caves leading to the Great Palace were especially brutal, with flying eyeballs knocking players to their doom.
Number 8. Castlevania, NES.
Anyone who played the original Castlevania back in the day remembers the bloody tears shed on the road to putting down Dracula for the first time. Cheap hits from flying Medusa heads and bone-chucking skeletons led to many a demise. And against all-odds battles saw Simon double-teamed by Frankenstein and Igor, ambushed by Dracula's hideous second form, and roughed up by a duel with the Grim Reaper himself. It's a classic, and it presented a challenge to match.
Number 7.
I hope you all have enough to cover all this!
Devil May Cry 3, PlayStation 2.
The Devil May Cry series has never been known as easy, but it reached a murderous peak when Devil May Cry 3 assaulted players in 2005. As it turns out, the Japanese hard mode became the English normal mode, and the ludicrous difficulty of the Dante Must Die setting was just ridiculous. Thankfully, we were granted a reprieve when the rebalanced Special Edition came out a year later. We can't think of any other game that had to be re-released due to unforgiving difficulty.
Number 6. Shinobi, PlayStation 2.
The old Shinobi games were pretty tough, but Shinobi for the PS2 separated the ninjas from the wannabes with a violent chop. The title character Hatsuma had a sick-looking scarf, a sublime shadow dash, and a sword that powered up with each kill. Unfortunately, when your weapon ran out of juice, it drained Hatsuma's life bar, making a nearly impossible game completely impossible. Chapters without checkpoints, and stages with more bottomless pits than ground. Shinobi demanded dedication, skill, and most importantly, patience.
Number 5. Ikaruga, GameCube and Xbox Live Arcade.
Breaking things down to black and white is usually all about simplification, but not for Ikaruga. Instead, the wildly popular Japanese shmup gave players a serious case of cross-eye, with its unique, polarity-switching style of play. Difficult? Most certainly, but players were rewarded for their bullet-eating bravado with a special homing laser attack that helped out even up the score. Well, almost. Ikaruga still remains one of the genre's most fiercely competitive shooters, yet players like this guy still manage to school the 2-player option all alone. We'll stick to the Xbox Live leaderboards, thanks.
Number 4. F-Zero GX, GameCube.
The high speeds, floating tracks, and crowded raceways have always made F-Zero games exceptionally challenging, but the GameCube entry kicked up the difficulty to full throttle. Mastering the roller coaster-style tracks required hairline precision to keep from flying off course. Rival drivers became super aggressive on higher difficulties, knocking you around without remorse, and making it impossible for many racers to unlock the AX tracks without the help of skilled friends. The story mode was unreasonably brutal, presenting major roadblocks as early as the second event, and ensuring that only the obsessed ever crossed the final finish line.
Of course!
Number 3. Ninja Gaiden, the series.
While a lot changed with its rebirth on the original Xbox, one thing has stayed the same. Ninja Gaiden games are always going to chew you up. Basically, the punishing platforming from the 2D games has been swapped in favor of excruciatingly difficult 3D combat. Whether you were knocked off yet another ledge by respawning falcons, or watching half your life bar disappear after eating another shuriken, the Ninja Gaiden series endures as one of gaming's ultimate challenges.
Number 2. Ghouls and Ghosts, the series.
It's one thing to be told the princess is in another castle. Now imagine reaching the end of an extremely difficult game only to be told that you have to start again from the beginning. This was the blessing bestowed on those brave enough to play the Ghouls and Ghosts series. This glorious gift came after enduring a controller-smashing, teeth-clenching curse of a 2D platformer. For masochists only.
Number 1. Battletoads, NES.
Rare may be known these days for GoldenEye and A Bear with a Backpack, but way back on the NES, the developer created the most devilishly difficult game ever to be released, Battletoads. Dragon-riding giant fists and a skewed take on first-person perspectives where the carrots dangled in front of you as the deaths on slippery slopes, health-stealing space invaders, and infernal biking and surfing stages piled up. Friendships were snuffed over the cooperative play. What other game makes pressing the D-pad in a particular direction an art form? Few ever witnessed the Dark Queen's fall without the help of Galoob's Game Genie, and Battletoads is, without a doubt, the most difficult game of all time.